Ahoy Cougs! My name is Diaz here with Coog Cinema Reviews, and today we're going to be discussing The Lighthouse. In The Lighthouse, Robert Pattinson stars as Winslow, a man of mystery who is recently hired by a just as enigmatic lighthouse keeper played by Willem Dafoe. In this surreal thriller, the limits of sanity are pushed to their absolute extreme boundaries, as the two of them struggle with their isolation and each other's company. So starting off, I'm gonna go ahead and say that there is a lot to unpack with this movie, and a lot of people are gonna feel really differently about it in many different ways. But there are a few things I feel like a lot of people will be able to agree upon, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with those real quick, and then I'll get into my own feelings about the movie later on. So the first thing I think a lot of people will be able to agree upon with this movie is that it has really good cinematography and it's shot very well. It's absolutely beautiful. The cinematographer does a really good job of immersing you in such a tight space. You know, it's shot very narrowly in a really weird aspect ratio. It makes you feel that you're really trapped with them in this tiny confined space. One thing I noticed is that the shot maybe feels a little bit out of focus in terms of the subject. And that's one thing that maybe made the audience feel a lot more uncomfortable throughout a lot of the film, aside from everything else that happens in the movie, which if you watch it, you'll find out. I'm not gonna get into spoilers. So the next thing that I thought was like really objectively good about this movie were the two performances. And that's saying something because it's really hard for two actors to carry an entire movie all by themselves. But Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe really did it. They killed it in this one. Dafoe was absolutely terrifying. You know, I bought everything that he was bringing forward. He's honestly just done a really good job of just playing crazy old dudes as of recently. Pattinson as well killed it. He's always killing it recently. I'm really here for this Pattinson renaissance. You know what, Rob? I'm so glad he's getting a lot of work recently, and I'm really excited to see him in all of his upcoming work. And I also really dug the sound design of the movie. There wasn't like a score throughout the movie, which is obviously not something that's really common. Some directors can pull it off. Alfonso Cuarón did it in Roma last year, another black and white movie. But this one, the only score was just the sound of the waves, the rain, the wind, and this really blaring, droning foghorn that came up every now and then. That also added to the unsettling factor of the movie, and it made it a lot more uncomfortable for the audience to sit through, which is a good job on the sound designer's part. So going into my personal thoughts about the film, I don't think it's too controversial, at least right now, to say that this film is batshit crazy. But for me, it might be a little bit too far off the deep end. And the craziness of the plot tied into the craziness of the actual structure of the film, and that kind of made it a little bit hard to follow for me. Maybe I'm just uncultured and maybe I'm just, you know, a plebeian, but some of the transitions were a little bit hard to follow at times. The dialogue was a little bit hard to decipher, especially Willem Dafoe. His accent was just really thick, and that's not a knock on Willem Dafoe at all, you know, go off king. But a lot of the different things made it a little bit hard to follow for me. In some ways, this film felt almost like a parody of itself. Like it was trying really hard to be artsy, and it was like almost artsy for artsy's sake. And again, maybe that's just me not understanding it thoroughly enough, but that's the impression that I got out of it on first viewing. But don't let all my gripes give you the wrong impression though. I actually really did enjoy this film a lot. I thought it was crazy, terrifying at times. It was, you know, unnerving. And all those components worked really well in achieving its whole nautical, horror, thriller, psychological conceit that it was going for. And that's something that I can really appreciate about this movie. Robert Eggers' script was left very ambiguous and very wide open for interpretation. But one thing is clear at the end of the day. It is indeed bad luck to kill a seabird. Well, that about does it for us here at Coog TV today. My name is Diaz. You guys have been great. Let us know in the comment section what you thought of the movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did it terrify you? Leave a like, subscribe for more content, and we will see you guys in the next one.